Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name is Chuck Wood, and I'll be your host. I'm joined by my co-host, Megan Dooley.
Hey there, good evening.
We have a two-part series, and you're watching the second part. If you weren't fortunate enough to watch the first part, it was certainly one that was very interesting and very productive. You're going to catch the second one now. I was going to ask the first question, but I think we'll go back into the introductions.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, we got Reverend Brian Eveledge to my right. He's the founder, president, and Forging Foundations Incorporated. I'm trying to do this without my glasses. Stumbling a little bit. He's also the owner of Eveledge Metal Works, LLC. Navy veteran?
Yep, yeah. Navy veteran.
Welcome back, Brian.
It's great to be back. Appreciate the opportunity to share some of the things we've done with the veteran community through the shop. Working with them to help navigate PTSD through hammering steel. Better to bang steel than bang your head. Yes. And I have one, that's a phrase one of the guys used in the shop. And our program is through my nonprofit, Forging Foundations. Forgingfoundations.org is how people can find that. But to enroll somebody, you would go through my for-profit website, eveledgemetalworks.com. And you can also underwrite somebody to go to the program so that nobody ever has to pay, but people can fund somebody special.
Well, to my left, Bob Hunter. Bob, welcome back.
Thank you.
Another Navy veteran.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Scott out there behind the camera, Navy veteran. We're all Navy veterans here. It's not always like that. Sometimes I'm the lone Navy veteran up here, but tell us a little bit about, you were out of Norfolk, right?
My last duty station. I spent most of my time at school, but I was an electronics technician in OPSOE division aboard the Eisenhower.
Yeah, and spent some time in Beirut.
Yeah. Well, we were part of the multinational peacekeeping force for Lebanon. So we set off the coast. I mean, you're not going to pull a carrier into the airport, but
I was on a frigate in '82, and we were about 2 miles off. Yeah, which was a little bit closer. A lot of times we couldn't see you guys in the carriers.
Yeah, we could launch from anywhere.
Okay. You served, when did you serve, Brad?
82 to 86. I was a corpsman in the Navy with a specialty as an operating room surgical technician. Ortho and neuro was my pet specialty, so I handle lots of fractures. And it's intriguing, broken heads from the outside. And now in a certain sense, I'm working with sort of jumbled heads from the inside. Not to make little of that, but hey, I share some of the same things, and most of the people who work with brain function are trying to figure something out in their own lives. And so it's very therapeutic for me as well as I'm working with individuals.
You're still, the bottom line is you're still dedicating yourself in your life to helping those in need of help.
Yeah. Imagine if everyone did.
Yeah.
The world would be a better place.
Yeah, it would. On behalf of the viewers, the Veterans Corner, I want to thank you very much for your service.
Thank you for yours. Thank you for yours.
And well, let's dive right into it with the program that you have, Brian. Now, Bob, you connected with Brian. Let's do a little bit of a recap. When did you connect with Brian, and how has that relationship benefited you?
We connected over a year ago through Eric Fontaine, who was one of his apprentices and someone else I also saw on Forged in Fire. I was watching Forged in Fire and I thought, wow, this would be something that would be cool to learn how to do. And ultimately, Brian contacted me. We found a way for me to get together with them, and started swinging a hammer on pieces of hot metal.
And what kind of hot metal pieces, that came out of my mouth wrong, but I'm going to keep going. What kind of pieces have you made since connecting with Brian?
I made a utility knife and a spike out of a railroad spike knife that I use for splitting kindling now. Works really well, by the way.
You had a good teacher.
Yeah, and I've made a couple of hearts out of horseshoes, which has been therapeutic to the point where if you want to go in and just smack a piece of hot metal into a shape, you don't have to be quite so picky as forging a knife. You can just swing. And I did.
A few times.
Is that your favorite part of the forging process?
I like the physical aspect of it. I was a tradesman before I went to college, and I was very good with a hammer. I was a carpenter. And I knew that the physical aspect of working in a forge would be therapeutic beyond staying focused on what you're doing. So I enjoy the physical aspect. I like working up a sweat.
And you have pieces that are with you forever and ever, and that you use. And Brian, you brought one of those knives that are made from an actual iron spike.
Yeah, the railroad spikes that are discarded, that are mangled. I find a lot of veterans kind of feel that way. They've been discarded, they've been mangled. And so one of those mangled pieces can be turned into something brand new, shiny, usable, functional. Historically, they were used for splitting firewood. So what Bob's using that one for is you would hold it over an end and hit it with another piece of firewood and split your kindling. But it gets you warm on the inside, and then it keeps you warm on the outside once you get the fire going. And internal fire is what stirs people to come back and keep striking the steel. It is therapeutic, but it also is a great object lesson because you can see beauty come out of discard. And it's sad to say a lot of veterans feel like they've been discarded.
Yeah,
so that's why I love this culture group. I do programming for first responders and healthcare providers as well. But veterans, being a veteran, my dad was a veteran, half my family served. You should never feel like your country has left you.
Absolutely not.
If you've given your time to your country. And so this is just a way I can combat that seemingly social aspect of veterans being discarded right now.
And you're finding connections and making great friends along the way.
Yeah, that's the biggest blessing for me. There are, I've gone to see Bob in all of his theater productions since he started doing them. I take my wife. It's a great date night for us because he's not there as somebody who's taken a class. He's my friend. And friendship, our Monday night group, we call it the Forging Fellowship. As Navy guys, what's fellowship mean? Multiple people in a ship.
Yep.
We're all in the boat, and we got to keep it afloat together. And so that's kind of what we do. Yeah.
Teamwork.
Yeah, it makes the dream work. Yeah.
But we do have, this episode will air before you hit the stage next. Let's do a little sideways since you brought it up. What is the next production that you are going to be at, and where can people see you?
I'm going to be in Beautiful, the Carole King story, and it's going to be airing. It's going to be at the Thomaston Opera House. I think it opens April 22nd.
Wow.
And they do some fantastic productions there. So for only being musical theater for a year, it's been an incredibly supportive, nurturing, therapeutic environment.
Now, I'm going to wager, would you have pursued this aspect of creativity had you not connected with Brian?
I don't know if I would have found someone else to work with me. So I probably would have dogged him until he acquiesced and let me come in to work in his forge.
That could be down the pipeline in a dream, and maybe you could do little singing lessons as you, well, you know what, now that I'm saying that, you're working with fire, you're working with steel, you're working with sharp objects.
Do a musical with heavy metal music.
Hey, if the Seven Dwarfs can do it. Well, they were just whistling, but.
Heavy metal music.
Heavy metal.
Heavy
See,
metal,
Yeah, I like that.
delayed reaction on the pun, but yeah, had to get one in tonight.
There you go, I applaud that.
I want to ask one thing we didn't cover in the first show. Now we have obviously it's just amazing that you can turn the
That's
railroad
honest.
spike into one of these beautiful, beautiful knives. Now, what about the leather work?
If somebody wants to learn that, it's part of the overall apprenticing process.
So you actually make the
I
leather.
do all of my own leather work myself. It's kind of a multiplication of talents. You try one and then you need another one to continue. People won't buy a knife or carry a knife if they don't have a safe way to do that. So it's just what's next. It's like dessert after a meal.
It's beautiful work.
It's interesting to see the different styles of the sheaths that you have. That's what they're called, not sheaths.
Sheath, yeah.
Oh, they are.
And that single loop around that actually gives you the capacity. Traditional knife hangs vertically, but now you can wear it diagonally, all 4 quadrants of your body, by using this sideways loop to put your belt through. And there's an object lesson in that for folks. Recognizing versatility isn't doing the same thing over and over. It's being capable of doing different things with the same tools. So I try to build sort of an object lesson into the capacity of everything we do. I think it works really well for all age brackets. You can't use old person teaching for young people, but you can use young people teaching for everybody. So object lessons really translate to everybody.
Did you cover 8?
Yes.
Okay. I was
We
thinking.
got so wrapped up in the conversation.
Yeah, I was listening, and I just moving on. The next question, Brian, is for you. Is there's been cases. Have there been any cases of real special outcome of veterans that you might want to share with the viewers? Stories, success stories. I should probably say.
They all have a different significance. I have an event coming up this June in Virginia, and a veteran I worked with who has in his own right taken on forging is going to travel with me and actually be a second set of hands on the job site for me to do an event in Southern Virginia. So just seeing people be activated from not being able to do for themselves to now wanting to be able to do for other people. Multiplication, and you don't give a man a fish, you teach a man to fish. And now to see somebody else teaching other people to fish is a real blessing for me. I could list off 50 different things, but when I see somebody else giving back as a result of receiving, to me that is really what makes it worth it for me.
One of the things I did on the first show, and you picked up on, is we forgot to introduce someone special.
Oh, we were saving him the best for last.
That's what we'll do.
There we go.
we'll
We're going to keep the anticipation
Yeah.
on this beautiful dog that
guest.
is between Chuck and Bob over here. But you know what? Let him rest up. Let him get ready for his big debut. Because last time he tried to take Chuck's job in episode 1, which is up on YouTube, which you can watch now.
So stop hounding her on that.
Oh, there we go.
Another hound. Okay.
Oh, that joke was rough. All right, people are turning off right now, but
Let's keep them on the show.
I
here.
know we're having a good time here, and that's what this is what I love about the chemistry of the show, because we're not only learning stories, but we're learning about how this community that you have built is continuing to spread out and help other people. So I'm going to bring it back to Bob. You talked about how since coming and working with Brian, it has allowed you to branch out, and also you're being in Beautiful, the musical that's coming to the Torrington Opera House soon. Thomaston, I apologize for that. Thank you for the correction.
Warner's in Torrington.
Torrington, okay. But let's go back, because before you were able to branch out, you talked about how you were grappling with PTSD. So how did this program allow you to manage your symptoms in order for you to really reclaim your life?
Well, one of the components of having PTSD is also comorbid with it is major depression. And for me, I'm an extrovert, and having PTSD when you're an extrovert is like a double whammy, because when you isolate, you're not getting the energy you need from being around other people. And I was in the middle of that. I was isolating, binge watching Forged in Fire, and you know, being able to work with Brian got me out of the house. He's only 20 minutes from me. So it's not like I'm not crossing a state border to get to his place. In fact, I take the back roads. So it's nice. It's given me a distraction that I had been denying myself, a healthy distraction. I mean, I'm already a musician. I wanted something that was going to somehow take the place of what I was doing as a carpenter. This gives me something, a chance to form something, to be creative with a new medium. I hope that answered.
No, what it reminded me of, it sounds like your life it felt like you were in darkness. And coming into Brian's workshop gave you the light that you needed to not only put your hands to work again and build that connection, but it really helped you to illuminate what you were missing because of what you were dealing with, because all of your attention was just white knuckling it through life.
Yes. And ironically, back then, I had just barely started picking up my guitar again. So being at the Forge was one of those things that kind of cracked the egg. I play my guitar almost every day now. I sing every day.
Are you going to teach Brian how to play the guitar?
He plays.
He does.
He plays.
We should have a jam session one time.
Maybe a 4th episode.
Well, you're talking about the guitar. I was almost going to mention it in the first episode. Is in grammar school, I was taking lessons. So I stopped and got into sports. And I just happened to have been thinking the other day, I was watching a group play at one of the local breweries, and I said, it'd be nice to be able to do that. Pick it up and learn. Obviously, you have to start over again.
It's ironic you say that. I've just built a music studio at my home, and I'm hoping people will want to come in and make that another type of outreach, just to be able to jam and make noise.
I'd love to pick up 30 years, 50 years later.
Pick up a ukulele. It's a great start. It's a very intuitive instrument. You can make a joyful noise that way.
Just a joyful noise?
A joyful noise, yeah.
Hey, that's what we should name the studio. Joyful noise.
Yeah.
But when you go in, you're, as you said, screaming and getting it all out.
You know, that minister side of me, that's a scripture verse there. Make a joyful noise. So
We'll definitely be talking about that, because I wouldn't mind, like I said, picking up where I left off. But once again, I mean, these shows go by so fast, the episodes.
No, don't tell me.
Well, no, it's, I mean, we're probably around 7 minutes left. So, we got some things to cover here. I'd really like to get some of these, actually all of them out of the way.
All right, let's start going.
Actually, that was probably the wrong wording, out of the way, but we want to touch base on these questions. Brian, I understand, you've got a significant event coming up.
yes, Memorial Day is a time of reflection, and veterans need something during that time. So on Monday, the 29th of May, I'll be having a veteran-specific open house at the Forge. I'm going to try to get as many of the apprentices as I have to come out, because it's a holiday for several of them. And we just want to let people come out and smack around some steel. Not a formal thing at all. Yeah. Just a, seed planting. And if they enjoy that, then maybe they'll come out and do the more formal PTSD class we have. And even if they don't have PTSD, and it's just something for them to come and explore sort of an old world skill in a new world setting. There's something cathartic about creating. And so I'm hoping that on that Monday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we can get a good chunk of folks to come on out and sample the Forge.
It's great. I mean, you were talking 20 minutes. I'm actually about 10 minutes. I can almost walk.
Yeah.
It's a long ride up, walk up the hill, but yeah, now we're down to 5. So.
But you talked about how those with PTSD, they don't have to pay for your program. So how were you able to make that possible? And how do you help get more people get involved with your program so you can change more lives?
There's 3 funding vehicles that I use right now. Part of it is you could sponsor somebody. So if you had a friend who is battling some issues at the moment there, you can actually go online and you can sign them up, and you can cover what the expenses would be for them as a gift. Or my for-profit business, 50% of my for-profit funds my nonprofit activities. And we have some special initiatives at times. We know tragically that on average about 22 veterans take their lives daily in the United States. So I started a limited series called End the 22. They're laser engraved. And 22% of this will fully fund one veteran to come through the shop. So each one of these that's sold funds a veteran to come through for the full program. So we try to use different little mechanisms, and in the process, they're numbered. So if there's a specific date, the 23rd, you could order number 23 out of 222. That's how many we're making in the series. And that would help get somebody through the program as well. And some people, they actually come for paid classes, and they'll say, listen, put this towards that. And so we have a jar that really does effectively help move people through. And the word of mouth is the single greatest tool. A guy who leaves with a great experience tells 2 or 3 other people, and then they reach out. So that's been our best vehicle to get new people.
Bob, obviously, we've heard some great stories here these last 2 episodes. I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask you, would you recommend forging to other veterans who live with PTSD?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an easy
It
answer.
It was a question I had written down. Yeah, it was a softball. Obviously, the benefits have been tremendous.
And like I said, in my experience, being able to, it's not just create something, but to be able to just shape a piece of metal. You can put as much focus into getting a near net shape as possible, or you can grind it through, shape the knife that way. I mean, that's to me, that's my goal. Near net.
To take that railroad tie spike and turn it into one of those beautiful pieces of work in a matter of hours is amazing.
And our final question of the night is, Brian, where can people find you? And more importantly is, how can viewers learn more about the event, that special event coming up on, what day was it again?
Monday, May 29th, Memorial Day, the holiday prime. My nonprofit's website is forgingfoundations.org. And the information for that event will be online before this episode airs, so that they'll be able to link to information specific to it. There'll also be a link where they could suggest someone to come out, or they could sponsor somebody from that page. The transactions come through the for-profit, and that's how we take care of paying for all the materials and costs for someone to be out there. We also have a social media presence under Forging Foundations, as well as Evelich Metalworks, the forge shop itself. Every class, every participant that comes through, as long as they consent, we put their picture up with the smile as they're looking at the thing they created. And that inspires other people to want to come out. So those are my primary vehicles. And word of mouth, they tell 2 friends, and so on and so on. We can build the network through that. Word of mouth is definitely the best way, especially in a limited community like veterans.
Right.
These 2 shows right here, obviously, definitely inspired me to want to come up and see it.
I hope you do.
It's been a great 2 episodes. But I'm going to leave the introduction, since the first introduction was right spot on. Megan.
Yeah, this is Bandit, and this is Bob. This is your dog. How long have you had Bandit, and what service does he provide to you?
Well, he's 9 years old. He's been working for 7 years of those 9. And he helps me if something does trigger me, especially a trigger I can't assign. I can't assign the trigger. Yeah. He helps me if I have an anxiety attack, or if it's a panic attack. He'll jump on me. Anything to distract me from what I'm going through.
And also, you say he is deaf.
Yeah.
That is something that we haven't covered before. Bandit, so his senses are heightened. So how does he detect a change where he needs to intervene?
In my case, with anxiety attacks and panic attacks, we give off pheromones. when we
We actually have about 5 seconds left.
We have 5 seconds left.
We would love, I'd love to have you answer that.
We are definitely going to have you back.
Yeah, definitely have you back. It was great to have you here for these 2 episodes. You can watch these episodes on your website once it's put out on YouTube.
Yeah.
Once it's aired with Nutmeg TV. So with that being said, thank you. I want to thank the viewers for watching. Good night, and see you next time on the Veterans Corner.
Good night.
Huh?
right.
The Saybrook Fish House in Canton has been serving fresh seafood, chicken, and steak entrees for 34 years, offering 3 cozy dining room settings, a newly renovated pub with craft beer, wine by the glass, specialty cocktails, and a lighter fare menu. Open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Reservations accepted for parties of 2 to 42, and gift certificates are also available. The Saybrook Fish House, nestled at the crossroads of Route 44, 202, and 179 in Canton.